Good evening and welcome to In Your District. My name is Donna Reed and it's my great honor to continue to serve as the Council Representative for District 5, Reading's Great Northwest. Tonight we're going to be talking about Census 2020. We're in the final weeks, the final gathering time of responses for the census forms that many of you have received, and we need your cooperation. We need you to count because when you count, Reading counts. Today we have a great group of folks to talk about Census 2020. Number one, our esteemed and honorable Mayor Eddie Moran, our City Auditor, Maria Rodriguez, who is in studio with me, our Managing Director, Pedro Cortes, and our Communications Coordinator, Christian Crespo, and the wonderful Isabel Monterrosa, who is the Berks Complete Count Committee Coordinator. We have some, and this is for me a joy hearkening back to my journalism roots. We have some breaking news tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, Mayor Moran.
Good evening, Councilwoman Reed, viewers of the great city of Reading, through BTTV. It's an honor and privilege to have the opportunity to have this chance to address the community, and specifically want to share about some exciting, incredible, rather is the appropriate word to use, news of a call that occurred this morning. We all have been working very hard, and I am so grateful to everyone that has taken part in the Census 2020 count. But this morning, I had the honor and privilege to take a scheduled call that was requested by the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross. And that call along with him was also U.S. Census Bureau Associate Director for Field Operations, Tom Austin. I cannot tell you how delightful I was to have received an email yesterday asking if I could get on the phone with these two individuals. You know, to say the least, we had a very productive conversation about the affirmative steps that Reading is and will continue to take to ensure that everyone, all the residents in the city of Reading is counted for during this 2020 census. You know, I couldn't miss the opportunity of having these two incredible gentlemen on the call, which again is to some extent unprecedented, that what originally was scheduled to be perhaps a 10-minute call lasted over 30 minutes, where the secretary himself spoke very often. So I took the opportunity, to say the least, to emphasize the areas we have identified that we can use more federal support. I specifically mentioned the fact that we were in need of more Spanish-speaking census illuminators. It was a very fruitful exchange, and the secretary himself actually extended his full support from the federal government. So, I cannot tell you how excited to have had that opportunity to speak to the secretary himself. Our managing director, Mr. Pedro Cortes, was also on the call with me. But however, unfortunately I cannot stay on the call throughout the show, but I cannot leave without taking the opportunity once again here and asking, or pleading rather, with all of the viewers and listeners to please pick up the phone or go online to fill out the census service. Ready stands to lose up to $30,000 for the next 10 years for every person that doesn't get counted for. That's a lot of money. So, of course, I'm gonna plead with you to do your part in getting counted. I'm gonna ask you to please do your part and ask your friends, neighbors, and family members to get counted. They're safe and you're protected. So I'm sure you guys are going to discuss at length the importance of this, but I cannot miss the opportunity not only to share that wonderful conversation that the city of Reading
which many may not even know exists, was definitely noticeable by our U.S. Secretary of Commerce. So again, I take a lot of pride to have had the conversation with him and been able to be a voice for the city of Reading.
Mayor, we so appreciate that. You and your administration have done so much in such a short amount of time for the city, and the fact that your connections, our managing director's connections, we just experienced that this morning with Mr. Bristol, Norman Bristol Cologne, and I know Pedro will speak more to that. But Mayor, thank you. You're extending the reach of the city of Reading. It's being noticed, and that's going to help us all. So thank you very much, Mayor. I know you have to go. Thank you for participating.
No, thank you, Councilwoman, again, because you definitely have committed 110%, along with others from our county and our city, to make sure that we capitalize on the opportunities that are available with the appropriate funding if we get counted for, so that we could, again, have all the needs that this city is so entitled to, such as better infrastructure, better schooling, better health care, and so on and so forth. So I'm sure you guys are going to talk at length about it, but I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to say it myself. So again, Councilwoman Reed, thank you, thank you, thank you.
We love you, Mayor. Thank you. Have a good evening. And I think we're going to turn it over to our managing director, and I know he'll be able to elaborate a little bit more on so many of these issues, because he has had quite the experience leading the state with Census in Census 2000. And you may notice this, we have a little bit of an antique in front of us, Managing Director. That's an umbrella from Census 2000. So we're thinking of you with that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Reed, and good evening to all the viewers and all of our neighbors in Reading, and to our colleagues on the call. Thank you for making the time. It's great to be with you, Councilwoman, as well as to have our City Auditor, Maria Rodriguez, with us. Ms. Monterrosa, your leadership, leading as coordinator the Berks County Complete Count Committee, is much appreciated. As the mayor noted, today was indeed a historical day for the city of Reading. I am, as many of you know, a retired state employee. The last 10 years of my tenure as Pennsylvania Secretary of State, I had the privilege of serving as the president of the National Association of Secretaries of State, and that brought me very close to many leaders in the federal government. I don't recall any time before in my professional career having a high-level, high-ranking federal cabinet member taking half an hour to conduct what essentially was a two-on-two, the Secretary Ross and Assistant Director Olson, to talk to the mayor and myself for 30 minutes.
That's
Very
extraordinary.
specifically,
It's extraordinary.
Indeed, we're talking about a very busy individual, the Secretary of Commerce, calling one of thousands of cities, municipalities in the country. And when he spoke with us, it was clear that he was well informed about the status of the self-reporting for the census in the city. What Secretary Ross did is he said, we know that, and I want to share with you what we already know as a committee, and in fact, what we discussed earlier today with our larger group, including the Reading School District and many others. And as you noted, Councilwoman Norman Bristol Cologne, who is the Executive Director of the Governor's Census 2020 Complete Count Commission. So he's the top overseer of census in the state, and he works very closely with the federal government.
He was great to us.
He was fantastic. He's a very dynamic leader. And Mr. Bristol Cologne mentioned the same statistics that Secretary Ross mentioned. He said, and I now share for the benefit of the public, that nationwide at the moment we're looking at a response rate of close to 64%. That's national reporting rate. Pennsylvania is ahead of the curve with close to 67%. In the case of Berks County, we're at 73%, which is remarkable. What is really sad and unfortunate, at least for the moment, is that we as a city have barely break the 50% mark. We're talking about half of the city's approximately 89,000 residents not yet been counted. And the secretary was very clear, as we discussed this morning, and many of us know very well, that each person that is counted, or not counted for that matter, represents up to $3,000 per year for the next 10 years, and thus the $30,000 figure.
Right.
And when you think about potentially 45,000 of our residents not being counted, we're talking about more than $1 billion. That's $1,000 million that the city of Reading, a financially distressed city under Act 47 of 1987, could lose. And people will think, well, I don't know. I don't know what that means to me. Well, if you happen to be a parent with children in the Reading School District, that represents money that is used for the actual physical plan of the building, to hire the teachers, to buy books and other supplies, to pay for the meals, which all of our children in the city of Reading qualify for free meals. If you happen to be one of our mature citizens, we're talking about potentially the subsidized housing in which you live and senior centers. If you happen to be a nature lover, we're talking about our parks and our other recreational areas. For those of us who travel in the city, we're talking about roads, we're talking about other infrastructure. And the reality is that even if we know that the city of Reading has 89,000 residents, if we only count 45,000 for the next 10 years, when we needed most to come out successfully out of Act 47, the city will receive funding, not only from the federal government, but also from the state government for only half of our residents. So with that in mind, as you will know, our committee is dedicated to correcting and improving those numbers. And in fact, this morning, as you know, we engaged in a number of very clear next steps that we are going to take until the end of the counting period for this decennial census, which is now September 30th. It's important that the group will know, and I won't take too long because there are many others with very good information. But we know that just recently, last week, the federal government decided to cut back a whole month in our opportunity to count our residents. The deadline was to be October 31st, 2020, and it's now September 30th. So that's 4 weeks that we lost.
I'm curious. I'm curious, Managing Director. Did Mr. Ross, Secretary Ross, discuss that at all? Why the condensation of time? Did he discuss that?
He did not. He did not, and we figured that it's a sensitive issue.
Okay.
And time being of the essence, we didn't decide to take him on what could have been perceived as a political question or some attack.
Sure. I guess the journalist in me is thinking what.
Well, absolutely.
But I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I totally get it.
But he was very candid, and he was. It seemed to me and to the mayor sincerely caring about seeing that our residents get counted. In fact, he went as far as saying, we have to do everything we can to get 100% count from Reading. That's what he said.
Fabulous.
He wasn't saying, I hope you match the national level. He didn't say, why don't you do better than the rest of Pennsylvania? He said, we need Reading, Pennsylvania to have a 100% count. So he seemed very well informed
that's
about
wonderful.
our realities, and that was highly encouraging. So he said, hey, anything you need from us, whether you're talking about the enumerators, which by the way, is being clarified. We've been using the term enumerators, and enumerators I have come to learn are the individuals that will knock on the doors of those households which have not completed the census, the self-reporting by phone or by mail or online. And there's also the ones that we have been in great need here in the city, the census response representatives. And those are the individuals that are accompanying us in events and public spaces. And Secretary Russ and Assistant Director Olson were very clear that they will provide support. So I'll stop there because I'm sure that there's others that can contribute. But I will say that we will mention through the program the host of activities and various intentional steps that we're taking, from having radiothons, other census days, going where we know the individuals that have encountered live, like the high rises, and working closely with all of our partners at the local, county and regional government, and our state and federal colleagues, to ensure that every resident in the city is counted, and thus we have the means to provide the much needed services that our community deserves. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Managing Director. We appreciate it. And I think I'm going to segue quickly here to our auditor, Maria and I. We sort of started becoming a team. I think we're going to start Rodriguez and Reed, since we've been cleaning up together, we've been doing census stuff together. But Maria is our wonderful auditor who is the woman of numbers. And Maria, take it away. Maybe you can reiterate some of what Pedro said and add to it.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Donna Reese, our Councilwoman. It has been a pleasure working with all of you. And the reason why we're taking this so seriously is because if we don't register, I wouldn't count in the census. We're going to leave money in the table. And it is going to be so sad to see that, because Reading is one of the cities that need the most. We need, like our managing director say, our street to be paving, do not need to be paving. We want to change we want to change our city for the best, and by register more people to the census. This is how we're going to bring more money into the city. Pedro say a lot in English, so now I'm going to speak in Spanish, because I do want our community to know how important it is to be counted in the census.
Please do.
Buenas noches a todos. Es un placer. Muchas gracias a nuestra cancillera Donna Reed por la invitación. Es un placer dirigirme a nuestra comunidad en español. Nosotros tenemos que hacernos contar en el censo. Es muy importante. Y la razón por qué hemos tomado esto seriamente, la administración, los cancilleres, yo también en el rol de auditora de la ciudad, es porque no queremos dejar dinero que está disponible y solo por no registrarnos, por no hacernos contar en el censo, ese dinero se puede perder. Nuestra ciudad lo necesita, nuestra comunidad necesita que ese dinero llegue a la ciudad de Reading. Y de la única manera que ese dinero puede llegar es si nos hacemos contar en el censo. Por cada persona que se registre en el censo, la ciudad va a traer hasta $3,000 por cada persona, y en un término de 10 años van a ser $30,000. También hasta ahora nada más hay un 50%, y es una de las ciudades que está más baja en la registración para el censo. Si nosotros podemos registrar más de un 70%, ya el Estado y va a venir dinero del Estado y del gobierno federal, y va a entrar más de 1.8 billones a la ciudad de Reading para mejorar nuestra educación en la comunidad, para más programas de salud, si queremos más programas para nuestros envejecientes, para mejorar la calidad de vida en la ciudad de Reading, en nuestra comunidad, en la población. Tenemos que hacernos contar en el censo. Por favor, regístrense. Si no tienen la manera, llamen a la ciudad de Reading. Estamos ahí para ayudarlo de cualquier forma que sea. Podemos ayudar para que se registren. Lo que tenemos es que registrarnos, hacernos contar en el censo, porque es la única manera, como acabé de decir, que podemos traer más dinero a la ciudad de Reading, y de verdad que lo necesitamos. Nuestra ciudad es una ciudad pobre y necesitamos para tener una mejor calidad de vida. Gracias, Dana.
Gracias, Maria. Much appreciated. And I know that as we go into budget time now, and you're leading the way along with our finance department, certainly supplementing our federal funds supplement our local funds.
Absolutely, especially now because whatever is going on, across the board with the COVID-19,
Yes.
we're going to lose a lot of money. We're not going to bring the same revenue that we usually bring, we collected last year. So,
And Dean Gordon, man, just tell us we're down 4 million or something like that projected at this
just
point?
in the general fund.
Just in the general
Just
fund.
in the general fund. So we're going to be losing a lot of money. Quiero dejarles saber a nuestra comunidad que por la situación que está pasando el día, no solo Reading, esto es en el país, en el mundo entero, por la pandemia, vamos a perder mucho dinero y nosotros no podemos, we can't afford it.
Exactly.
But we had to deal with the situation.
Yes.
Pero por eso más tenemos que tratar de traer todo el dinero que se pueda, porque la ciudad de Reading con lo de la pandemia va a perder mucho dinero. Y la verdad que se necesita para sacar la ciudad a flote, para que la ciudad sea una ciudad más limpia, una ciudad donde se pueda proveer una mejor educación, un mejor transporte. Nuestra ciudad está creciendo, nuestra población está creciendo constantemente, el real estate, además tenemos que ver las casas, que casi no hay propiedades de venta. Nuestra población está creciendo, tenemos que dejarnos contar.
Thank you, Maria. I can tell the seriousness just by looking at you. So I think the point is across even with my minimal understanding of Spanish. We're going to move on now and go from the serious stuff, which is very serious, of course, but we're going to segue over to Christian Crespo, who is our new communications coordinator for the city. He has not been with us very long, but he has done a fabulous job. He will talk, and then Isabel will as well, about Christian Center on the messaging. Isabel will talk about some of the outreach, and as both the mayor and managing director noted, we're full steam ahead, starting basically yesterday. So, Christian, would you like to move forward, please?
Thank you, Councilwoman, and those are very kind words and kind of an introduction. So thank you about that. Hi to everybody. Good evening to the people of Reading and every viewer in BCTV, and to the fellows who are connected with us tonight. We are working and we are trying to put together a great video content that is appealing for the people of Reading. We are using the same people that you see every day, your neighbors and people that are local. So people can understand the importance. They can see themselves in this content that we are creating, because this is a matter for every resident in Reading. And right now we are releasing videos, so you're gonna be seeing videos running through every social media. With all the COVID situation, we understand that people have a lot of extra time and they're hanging in social media, all that stuff. So we are putting there every effort that we can, so we can translate for them the information and they can understand the importance that it means, not only in numbers, but how this and failing not to file the census would impact the life of them and not getting this on. So that is kind of what we are doing. So we are very happy of the reception that we are getting from people every time we go into every neighborhood to film or to do any kind of photo op. So thank you to the people. But again, this is for get everybody to file their census questionnaire. And I would like to also add, there's a number, and I know you're gonna post the information later, but there's a phone number with a Spanish and English assistant. The webpage where you can file your census questionnaire, it runs on a computer, but also works on a mobile devices. And if you don't feel comfortable or doesn't have access to any of these devices, a phone or a computer, you can mail in the questionnaire that is being hanging on your doors. If you do so, if you file your questionnaire, you won't be getting a numerator on your door. This means that you are done. It's a 6 or 5 minute, only takes 6 minutes. How about that?
Correct.
To file your census. So we encourage everyone. We want everyone doing it. And definitely, you know, the importance in this is that is for the next 10 years. So Reading definitely cannot wait another 10 years to secure the funding that it needs to address the matters that are happening right now. And I don't know if you want me to say it in Spanish.
Well, Christian, can you share the video that you shared
Of
with us
course.
this morning? I think that would be really great. Maria hasn't seen it yet, so it'll be brand new for her as well as our viewers.
And this is a release for an exclusive peek for the people in BCTV, and it will be out tomorrow massively. So here
Sneak
you go.
preview, BCTV breaking news. I love it.
I think the sound didn't went through. Sorry about that. Let's try again. And you guys in the studio can confirm if this sound is good now.
Actively working in my community to enforce the change I want to see. But a few of us are not enough. We need you. Every 10 years, the Census Bureau counts the population. This means they want to know how many people live in my home and in your home. If we do not fill out the census, we won't get the funding that goes to our schools, our roads, our infrastructure, and our recreational areas. Go to my2020census.gov and complete the census online, by phone or by mail. And make sure to count everyone in your home, including all children and even your neighbor. Whether you just moved to Redding or if you were raised here, we all need to file. My information and your information is safe by the law. Redding cannot wait another 10 years to be counted. Haz que Redding cuente. Make Redding count.
Beautiful.
That is just beautifully done. Do you want to note who did that video? I think, Christian, they're worth crediting.
Yes, and I would like to also mention we are partnered with local videographer Mateo Toro, and this is done by local people, your people, and to continue doing this amazing job and beautiful video content, we need to secure our funding through the census. So again, everybody, please go file your census. It's very simple, and we will continue. Earlier, Managing Director mentioned some other efforts and initiatives that you will be seeing us. So, and you are going to be experiencing radiothon that we are planning, and it's going to be dedicated completely to Redding. We will be using radio stations, so you will hear the mayor on Spanish radio station, English radio stations. We want to build up a call center fully dedicated to the people of Redding. We understand that you have been maybe having some challenging filing your census, so we want to help.
And it is truly, as the mayor has said, building a better Redding, but also we are each other's neighbors. And nothing says that more than participating in a census, because truly, by filling out that form and knowing that you represent, by filling that form, up to $3,000 a year coming into the city, and every member of your family, even from the tiniest little baby who was born before April 1st, you're giving a gift back to your city that's not costing you anything other than a few minutes of your time to fill out that form. You're giving your city up to $30,000 to be used between 2021 and 2031. What a gift. And it's not coming out of your pocket, but you're making sure it's coming back to all of our pockets, because it is justifiably money that should be federal funding money that should be directed to the city for up to 130 plus programs. And Maria went over those, the mayor and managing director. It's so critical. Christian, your messaging, the video, the radiothon. We're following up on Census Day with another one, our outreach, and we'll segue to Isabel on this throughout the community, and we must credit our community development director, Jamal Abdallah. I never say his last name right. I apologize for that. And Patricia Vasquez has been phenomenal, and they both have worked hand in hand with Isabel and Delcy of the Complete Count Committee. I also want to give a shout out to Commissioner Rivera, who has really stepped in to help us all out. So Isabel, all yours. Please talk to us a little bit about all the cooperative outreach and what your role is versus the actual Bureau itself.
Well, yes, and my role started a year and a half ago with the county. We've developed for the last year and a half, just planting seeds all of last year, letting the community know what the census was. So mostly with the community leaders so that they can then carry it down to their respective community members. So obviously, you know, we're doing very well with the county and I'm very happy about that. But now we're really laser focused on the city of Redding right now. So to echo what Christian was saying, what we're finding is that we need those trusted voices. The message needs to come and they can see the videos and they can see things, but they'll still kind of need to have that person to person. So because of that, we're piggybacking with a lot of community events. And one of the most popular ones that we've had is the Wacky Water Wednesdays.
I can attest to that. My 3-year-old grandson is a huge fan.
That's just the perfect opportunity because we have myself and Delcy and then the census workers, and they see us in a relaxed environment, and then they open up their doors to the community. And so we've been able to inch away, and we do it in a fun environment, and then really encourage them to spread the word. But again, it's trust factor. So another one that I really have to give a shout out is Centro Hispano. Mike Toledo and his group there have really taken the initiative since the pandemic began to do wellness calls to the Centro Hispano community members that they have in their database, checking in on them and encouraging them to complete the census. And so far up to date, they've had almost 700 members complete the census.
That is fabulous.
That was huge. So we've taken that model and really encouraged other companies and other nonprofits to do the same, to reach out to their community members and do a wellness check because, you know, we keep having things change from one to the other. Are we going to open? Are we not? Are we going to have this event? So checking in and keeping in touch with the community is a great way of letting them know we care about you. Have you completed your census so that we can continue these services? We've continued the messaging through Meals on Wheels, through those messaging and through all the mobile food pantries. Either Delcy, myself, or the Redding Recreation Department has been phenomenal in distributing that information out to their members through the Olivet's Boys and Girls Club. The library has just let us know that they are going to be opening up, which is very exciting because prior to COVID taking away all of our outreach plans, the library was going to be a strategic partner. They have set up specific trainings for all their librarians. They had mobile hotspots. They have the link set up to their desktop. So now I just received the message that they are opening up and would love to continue to help people, again, to complete the census. And it really comes again to people they trust. So that's our religious leaders. And that's where we're focusing today in our meeting. Pedro emphasized that we cannot lose another weekend. We have to be able to go to the community. And that's really critical. So we're asking all our faith-based leaders and participants to please include that with your messaging. As Donna has told us, the very first census is with the nativity story. And so to please incorporate that with your messaging because we really need to have all the community counted.
That was the reason Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem to be counted.
Correct.
So there you go. There's the at least for those who believe in the Christian, in Christianity, there is the very basis of it there. And I have to give Maria credit. She was actually on the phone with your priest?
Well, I know people, they had a church on 10th Street, and I know some people, I had some,
she did outreach to the religious community right before she came in here. So, Isabel, she's been putting that in action. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, it's mostly just looking to bring the fun in it because a lot of people, even still, they're going to be a little bit fearful of opening the door. They're going to be fearful. Some people are fearful of the computer. And one final messaging, a couple of other final things is we had a text messaging blast that we incorporated specific targeted zip codes so that they can get a link. and we synchronized it for Census Day so that when the activities were going on, then the message hit right around that time so that people could be aware and then they could have it write a link on their phone. We're going to repeat that again to coincide with it. And I also have to thank Berks Community Health Center,
Yes.
which is our federally qualified health center. Mary Cardbo and Jennifer Bauman have just been such wonderful partners. And just this past week, tomorrow, we're concluding 4 days of community outreach. Today, our workers were out at the Rock the Block event over at the Oak Brook Center. So we're really getting out there, and they had a great opportunity. So again, that's another trusted partner. And I like to finish it off with a lot of people who, even after all these reasons, are still not interested. I said, just for historical purposes, 2020 is going to be a year of historical.
Absolutely.
That's for
at
sure.
this point, wouldn't you want to be counted that you were living and ready in 2020? And that's kind of garnered some enthusiasm as well, too. So it's just, again, to encourage the people that it is safe, it's secure, and it is so important and needed. And again, I can't thank Patricia and Jamal for really helping us move the needle in the city of Reading. And thank you all here. I mean, it's been nothing but supportive, and I just, you make my job fun. Thank you.
Well, I did your job 20 years ago, and I loved it, I have to say. And it was well before all the social media that we're so used to now, but it was one of the more joyous jobs I've ever had in my life. But I do want to make note, and Isabel, if you can just quickly speak to this, the cooperation of businesses, particularly Fine Fare, which is in one of the lowest performing census tracts.
Yes. So again, what they've done is they've mobilized the mobile questionnaire assistants, which are census workers, and they've mobilized them to strategic stores in the areas that were identified as undercounted. So much so that it was successful that we were just told today that one area is no longer the most undercounted, which is where Fine Fare is located.
That's fabulous. That's
it
fabulous.
has moved out of the bottom spot. And again, that had it's the credit to their owner and their manager who not only allowed that, but encouraged their shoppers. They would put on the loudspeaker and say, please stop and by and talk to the census and make sure that you're counted. They're also now moving on to C-Town and also now to Supernatural Produce. So again, very targeted areas that are in the areas which are considered the undercounted, and it tends to shift depending on what the results are that week. So we're looking to see other areas as well too.
And as we go out into the neighborhoods, and I thank my council colleagues, not everyone has either been able or has participated to this point, but certainly Jahani Cepeda-Freitas, whose district includes Fine Fare, Marcia Goodman-Hinnerschitz, who is on the greater southeast side of the city. Lucine has been spectacular in District 1 with all her outreach, including Oak Brook and the 18th Wonder initiatives over there. And Council President joined Maria and I when we were doing Census Day with the mayor and everyone. We all plan to get out into the communities, get into areas of our districts. For instance, in my district, Mike and Joe's barbershop, Mike's sandwich shop, the stadium. We're having, Christian, you might want to speak to the 2 movies that are coming up in the stadium and how we're going to be outreaching during those as well. So we're going to be utilizing everything within all of our districts. I know Marcia will be teaming up with Bill Franklin to go over to B'nai B'rith. There's different rules in different housing, different high-rises, Reading Housing Authority, which has been a spectacular partner. There's different rules working there with Reading Elderly Housing and Rhodes and Eisenhower than there are with B'nai B'rith, which is operated separately, as is Oakshire in my district and places like that. So we're working in all these ways, and again, the trusted faces, the people you know, your neighbors, all that is so important. Your religious leaders, your small business people, all those are so critical. Bart Ganster from the karate, it's karate,
Yes,
correct, that he
Ganster,
does?
yes.
When we were working the cleanup, the mayor's cleanup initiative in the Bear Park area, Bart came over and immediately offered to do whatever he could do. The numbers of people that go into his karate studio there, sort of under the Schuylkill Avenue Bridge, are a fair number. And, it's frankly something I hadn't thought about. He showed up. It's in my district. It's fabulous. So we know people want to help. We know people want to interact. And we're very excited about sort of saturating the city now for the next 6 weeks and doing everything we can do to get that word out. And it's everyone. It's not just elected officials. It's everyone. Everyone City Hall I know is stepping up to the plate. The mayor has been very inspirational. Jamal and Patricia have been fabulous working with Isabel and Delcy. We just need everybody to be a part of it. Christian, can you talk a little bit more about some more of the messaging you're going to be doing, some of the things we talked about today with the movies at the stadium and another Census Day? Can we talk a little bit about that?
So we're planning, and again, and following on what you just said, Donna, we are partnering with every local business owners, nonprofit organizations, churches, and we're taking the opportunity to partner with them, and we're doing it because they accept and acknowledge the importance of Census. And one of the most recent ideas that we have is that we happen to know that they are going to be moving showings on Fridays in the Reading Phillies. So we're in the talks with the Reading Phillies to see how we can come out together and partner while these movie showings are happening, and have in the spot people that can answer your question, make sure that you address any concerns that you have, and provide you with technical and mobile devices to file your census, which is the most important thing, is that you take the opportunity every time that you encounter an NQA and it stops you in the supermarket, in your church, is to make sure they want to help you file your census. So we're taking that opportunity. We're in the talk, so expect the NQAs and census people in these movie showings in the Reading Phillies. And also, if I may, I would like to encourage people that are watching right now or will watch these pre-recorded. If we haven't contacted you and you're a business owner or you have any organization, please reach out to us. We want to partner with everybody. We are definitely doing a lot, but it's not enough, and we can do more, and we need more. We need everybody in this initiative. So we encourage every organization, every business owner to please reach out to Isabel, to the county, to Councilwoman, to anybody that you may know that is working on this effort, to let them know that you have available space or place or activities or events that you want census people, because we want to make it happen, and we want to work and do it with you.
And it is a simple thing in terms of filling out the form. It is not a complicated form, and it is simply who lives in your house. It could be your cousin living with you. You could have a niece or nephew living with you. Maybe your grandparent was living there on April 1st. It is not a question of who is a citizen, who is the close family member. It could be a companion that lives with you. It doesn't matter. This is simply a log of the person, their age, and living with you. That's who's living at a specific address on that date. And Isabel referred to how great it would be to have that information so that in the future people will look. Census forms and census information are protected for 72 years. I'm not too worried about anybody looking at my information. Hopefully my grandson will be an older man by then, but he might want to look and see what grandma put down on the census, but I don't think I'll be worried about it in 72 years looking at what is down on my census. But I am interested in seeing what my grandparents put down in 1910, in 1920, in 1930, in 1940. It helps with genealogical, research. So for those folks who are of a certain age that are looking back and want to see their roots, this tells you your roots. So there's so many aspects to this that are so interesting, so educational. And with that, I'm going to segue to the Reading School District and our managing director to talk a little bit about the involvement of the school district, which we're fortunate now to have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Indeed, here, as everybody has well stated, everybody is a partner. Everybody has an opportunity to assist. And the Reading School District is on board. Dr. Mumin, Dr. Sanchez, the board itself, staff, we're looking to utilize a number of tools that the school district has to its avail, from a new and updated website to robocalls or the phone calls that can be made to parents and other guardians of the students. And it's going to be with simple messaging, both in English and Spanish. Something very important for the public to know, that even if in your household, the primary language is not English or is not even Spanish,
Correct.
the census forms are available in a multitude of languages, more than 24, perhaps many more. So there is a conceivable no language that is spoken in Pennsylvania for which the census has not prepared a form. And therefore, everybody has that access. So we're very grateful as a city to the school district for their resources and their care. The school district understands better than most the importance of the census in having the required and necessary funding to have a quality institutional system. And as it was noted by all, and many thanks to our city auditor, Maria Rodriguez, for providing the messaging in Spanish, and I'll take the liberty of doing some of that as well. Es muy importante que nuestros residentes entiendan que primero, como dijo la canciller Reed, el censo y la información es privada y es segura. Esa información no se puede utilizar legalmente para nada que no sea contar a nuestros residentes. Eso no es acerca de ciudadanía o nacionalidad, es acerca de los seres humanos que vivimos en la ciudad de Reading. El distrito escolar de Reading entiende la importancia de compartir esta información con los padres, con los estudiantes, las oportunidades que estamos utilizando, incluyendo cuando haya los juegos de béisbol de los Reading Fighting Fields. Estamos en conversación para enseñar el video que presentamos en las pantallas grandes durante los juegos y para tener mesas y enumeradores en el parque. Como dijo la señora Monterrosa, tenemos tantas oportunidades, particularmente con las iglesias y otros lugares donde se congregan nuestros residentes, donde hay confianza para utilizar esas oportunidades. Y para muchos de nuestros residentes, no se sorprendan si reciben un correo electrónico o una comunicación a través de sus empleadores. El alcalde redactó una carta tanto en español como en inglés que fue compartida con más de 30 compañías en la región, compañías que emplean muchas personas de Reading, y esas cartas se van a compartir en los próximos días. Así que hay una multitud de esfuerzos para que todo el mundo cuente. And Councilwoman Reed, I know that you can catch up some of that in Spanish, but for your benefit and others, I would say the last thing I noted was that as we talk about the multitude of efforts that are being undertaken, if you are an employee of a company that has a presence here in Reading and nearby, do not be surprised if your employer sends you an email with a letter written by the mayor, both in English and Spanish. It was a letter that through the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance and our partnership with them has been shared with more than 30 employers, with the CEOs, presidents, and the leadership of more than 30 companies, a letter telling them about the census. In fact, just this afternoon, Mr. Abudalo, Jamal and I had a very productive call with Dr. Pedro from Albright College. And we're going to do the same with Albernia, with RAC, Penn State Berks. But the conversation with Dr. Pedro was about providing her the video that we just saw, providing the letter that was sent to the employers. And they went as far as saying, Pedro, we commit ourselves to having tables at the student union and other parts of the campus. And we're going to stop our students who live in Reading and are living here to have them counted as well. And we're going to follow that up. We already have conversations with Penn State Health, St. Joseph. We're going to do the same with Tower Health and all the medical providers. So it's going to be an all hands approach. And the last thing I'll say, and it was mentioned before by Christian, if those of us who sometimes are apprehensive about people knocking on our doors and asking us to do what have you, if you don't want to have that friendly knock on the door from the census enumerator, complete the census in the coming days and then we will know that you did it and we won't have to knock on your door. So it takes just a few minutes, do your part, get the census taken care of y nadie le toca la puerta. So in other words, I would say it in Spanish and mix it up there. En español, si usted no quiere que le toquen la puerta para que le recuerden que no ha completado el cuestionario del censo, por favor hágalo lo antes posible. El censo sabe que ya usted lo completó y entonces no le tocamos la puerta de su casa. Así que hay muchas oportunidades para participar y todo muy respetuoso, mucho profesionalismo y toda la información es segura.
So from now till September 30th, think of it as all census, all the time, sort of like in the old days, it was the cable news networks, all news all the time. So think it's census all the time, 24/7, all Reading, all city, all census, all counted. And, you know, I think today was a beautiful example to show that this is not a partisan situation. This is not Democrat or Republican or whatever other party is out there. We had the Commerce Secretary of the United States, think of that, a cabinet level officer speaking with our mayor and our managing director and an associate director of the Bureau itself. Obviously, there's two different sides of the coin when you see the partisans or the political parties in both those levels. It doesn't matter. We're all here, we're all counted, we're all part of America. So that's a beautiful example of showing how the two sides are united in this effort. And I can tell you from all of us on council, and Maria can speak to it, I'm sure, as well, this is a city government that is united. We're united in many ways, in many issues. But the census is probably key among them, or at the top of the list, because we know it's so critical. It's so critical. We're emerging from Act 47, and we're emerging despite the COVID situation that has not just knocked us to the side as it has everyone, but we're still doing okay in spite of it. But we want to thrive in this next decade. We have a united government. We have great working relationships on a state and federal levels now with our business community, with our community of faith, with our health communities, with our educational communities. This is our time. This is Reading's time. And making everyone count, everyone counting themselves. You're making Reading count. You're making yourself count. You're making your kids count. You're making the future a better place. We can do it together. Thankfully, finally, we're united. Maria, how do you feel?
This is great. I mean, having been working with council, the new administration is a huge plus. And like Councilwoman Donna say, please register to be counted in the census. We need it. Nosotros necesitamos que cada residente en nuestra ciudad se haga contar. Solo tenemos un 50% de la población y nuestra población es mucho más solo la mitad de nuestra población está registrada en el censo. Por favor, hágase contar. Necesitamos que ese dinero llegue a nuestra ciudad, a nuestra comunidad, a los programas más necesitados. Queremos calles nuevas, queremos una mejor educación para nuestros niños, para nuestros hijos, para un futuro mejor para nuestra comunidad. Como dije hace poco rato, nuestra población está creciendo. Reading no puede quedarse detrás. Tenemos que ayudar lo más que podemos y solo le estamos pidiendo que se haga contar, que se registre en el censo para que ese dinero llegue a la comunidad, para una mejor educación, para el desarrollo. Tenemos muchos buildings. We have a lot of buildings that need to be demolished. So, si queremos una ciudad más bonita, beautiful city, tenemos que asegurarnos que ese dinero entre a nuestra comunidad, llegue a nuestra comunidad.
And for the folks in District 5, now, generally we do these programs and we dedicate it to our particular districts, but this one certainly involves District 5. And I'm going to be working with Christian. I haven't asked the mayor and managing director, but I hope I'll have their approval. That in District 5, I'm going to be reaching out to community leaders in our different neighborhoods taking advantage of the Mayor's Clean Sweep program, we're going to do something called Take 5 in District 5. So we're going to go out there, I'm going to grab a broom and everything else that's needed. We're going to go neighborhood by neighborhood in different weekdays, and we're going to work with the folks, if not the enumerators, the MQAs and others. We'll work with the Bureau. Isabel, I'll need to coordinate with you. So we'll try to not only clean the blocks, but make sure everyone counts. So I think we can get two things done at once. So we're going to call it Take 5 in District 5. Take 5 minutes to help clean your block. Take 5 minutes to fill out a census form. Everyone's the better for it. We go into a beautiful fall and we go into a full count. So I want to thank the managing director, our mayor who was with us early on. Isabel, thank you for everything you do. Christian, Maria, we're going to have Rodriguez and Reed out in the street again, so we're going to be doing that. But thank you, everyone. Please count. It doesn't take long. It's your future. Everyone counts, and it's shaping your future. So you start right with your census form.
One more thing,
Okay.
Councilwoman. Pedro acabó de, Mr. Cortes, Pedro Cortes, acabó de decir que si no podemos, si no lo hacemos ahora, tenemos que esperar 10 años más. No podemos esperar. Redding no puede esperar 10 años más. Lo necesitamos ahora, porque el censo es cada 10 años. So, si no traemos ese dinero ahora, vamos a tener que esperar 10 años más. Muchas cosas pueden pasar en 10 años si traemos ese dinero ahora en nuestra comunidad. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. And thank you to BCTV. Thank you. I believe it's Jordan back there. Thank you for your help and figuring out all these technical glitches. Someday we'll all be together in person, but we can all be together in spirit filling out that census form. So we'll see you in about 7 weeks post-census, and I'm hoping that Maria and I will be able to report a 100% count in the city of Reading. Let's do it. Let's show the rest of the world that we're top of the heap. Thank you, and good night, everyone.
Good night.